Today on Bridges, you'll get to hear from a mother and a daughter who worked to strengthen that bond. They did it with something called paper conversations, and we'll talk about that today. Welcome to Bridges. I'm Monica Schmelter, and I'm so glad that you could join us today. Today on Bridges, we're going to talk about the mother-daughter bond and how to strengthen that. And we get to hear from a mom and a daughter who will share with us a project that they started really to help their relationship, and it's called Paper Conversations. And so I welcome you today, Andrea and Lauren. Good to have you.
Yes.
I'm all about strengthening relationships, and so I just love this. I thought this was the sweetest project between a mom and a daughter. So Andrea, tell us whose idea was this?
Well, this idea was born out of a little bit of frustration, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
Because when she was she's my firstborn, and so when she was about 10, 11 years old, I noticed we hit this brick wall in communication. Mm-hmm. She'd come home from school and I'd go, "How was your day?" "It was great, it was fine, it was good." Just one-line answers, just one-word answers.
A mom does not want to hear.
No.
"How are you today?"
Yeah.
"Fine."
Mm-hmm.
"How was school?" "Good."
Yeah.
"Did you learn anything?" "Yeah."
I really wanted a deeper relationship.
Sure.
I wanted something that would grow and blossom. And so when I'm frustrated, I hit my knees in prayer. And the Lord led me to this idea of journaling back and forth. And it first started with a composition notebook. Mm-hmm. I would just ask some questions, and then she would answer them, and then maybe she would ask a question back. And it made some progress in our relationship. And I kept praying about it, and I talked to my husband about it, and he prompted me and her to start a project of our own, and what we thought we would want to know about each other, what values I'd want to pass on to her, and those kinds of things. So it was a back and forth project. Mm-hmm. So there's questions and there's activities in here that kind of get things going, and so it was born a little bit out of frustration.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I love that you shared that, because so many times I've seen in my own life that sometimes if there's frustration or conflict in anything, if I'll just stop and pray about it and think about it, that usually it's that God is trying to prompt me to move on something or to do something. So you're saying as a mom, you found that out firsthand. Now, Lauren, how did this seem to you? Because your mom's saying you're given one-word answers, and now she's giving you a composition book.
As I think I was growing older, and I just kind of came to a point where I just wasn't able to fully communicate through words. And I was very good at English at the time and writing, and I had gotten very good grades in that subject. So she had kind of taken note of that, and that's kind of how it all started. And so she was like, "Hey, we're gonna do this journal. I'm gonna ask you some questions. Feel free to answer. And if you wanna ask me questions, that'd be great too." And so it was a really fun way to just kind of connect, but it was also a great way to just tell her how I was really feeling at that time.
Oh, and you got time to think about it.
Yes,
You started to say something.
Yeah, no, I was going to say the actual thinking about it and not feeling like on the spot. When you're trying to communicate with your parents, sometimes you can get a little nervous at that age, I would think. Like, am I going to say the right thing? Am I going to upset them? I don't want to tell them too much or whatever.
Well, sometimes, and I still remember this from being younger, you think, okay, is this like a hidden
test?
Is there a right answer? Are you looking for something? So you kind of get defensive.
Yeah, and I wanted her not to feel intimidated or on the spot like that. And one thing about, she was good at English, but I don't think they have to be in order to communicate in that way, because mothers can dissect their information coming back to them. They don't need, a dictionary. They don't need to be able to try to look it up and go, I wonder what they were trying to say. They know. They know their daughter well enough to know what she's saying without even saying it sometimes. And we just need little clues. And I think for me, I wanted to give more structure to the whole process, because the questions going back and forth, there wasn't much structure, so that's why we wanted to write the book. So there was a little more structure, and it would be easier, because I have a heart for moms out there. When I'm going through something and the Lord reveals something to me, I want the whole world to know what He did for me. Yeah. So I felt like, man, if He did this for me, He can do this for other moms who are struggling at any age group difference. In fact, I got a letter in one time from a mom and a daughter that told me that she was in her 20s and the mom's in her 50s, and they lived in separate different parts of the United States, and they went back and forth with the book. They would mail it back and forth. It took a year to finish it, but they got to know each other on a whole different level. Things they never knew about each other came out through that book.
It's a really neat thing.
Adventure.
The book that we're talking about is Paper Conversations, and it's an absolutely sweet book. It's a journal of thoughts and prayers between a girl and her mom, and it's a really neat project. And you were saying, Andrea, that your child doesn't necessarily have to be good at English, even though you love that, Lauren. Because I was remembering back to when I was pre-teen and teenager, I loved to write notes to people. I guess probably people don't do it as much with text, but it's just something about passing a note or writing something short that's not intimidating, that you just get to share your heart. So you felt like, Lauren, this was really kind of allowing you to open up.
Definitely, yes. It was definitely almost a spin or a new view on communication for me that allowed me to just go to a deeper level with our relationship, and it was definitely a great way to connect.
Yeah, you said that the back and forth communication, the writing of the notes. I think things have changed in this generation because the text messaging, Facebook, email, all of that is just typing, right? And I think there's something beautiful going to the pen. Back to the pen, but also we're still speaking to their generation because they are used to communicating not verbally.
Right.
But they're used to communicating, through text, through email, through Facebook, and this just can be another avenue of communication that way, where you're kind of getting down to or maybe relating to their level of communication. Because, I don't know that I hear a teenager have a phone conversation anymore, or have much of a face-to-face conversation anymore. It's all through text messaging or, social media, if you will.
And it is. You just watch everybody and everybody's just going a mile a minute, even at the dinner table. So I see so many practicality, like so much beautiful communication and introducing maybe something that would be new to a younger culture, but there's something beautiful about it, like even getting a letter in the mail.
Yes, that's
It's
neat.
like so special because we're all just typing.
Yeah, I know. And there's no spell check with this.
Right. Which is so
It's
good.
okay.
And there's no autocorrect.
Right.
Yay. Now, you said that you learned some things about your mom through this.
Yes, definitely. There are different pieces of the book that just are different from other pieces. So there's like parts where it talks about how was your life when you were younger and what was it like compared to me? And so I always loved reading like what she was like as a kid.
In the good old days.
Yeah, well, just learning about different things, like how her childhood was, and just different dreams I may have never even heard from, or dreams that I never even heard about, because we just didn't have a strong relationship at that point.
We just never had the opportunity to talk about that kind of stuff,
Right, and I think for most of us, I think as silly as this sounds, it was a surprise for me when I realized that my parents were real people. Do you know?
Yes, definitely.
Do you know, they're just like your parents, and that's what they do. They tell you what to do. They look out for your best interest. But for me to find out that, my mom had dreams of music and the different instruments that she played, and those were things that I don't think I appreciated about her when I was a little girl.
Yeah, and this absolutely gives you an avenue to talk about that kind of stuff. Like, what was your first date like? Here she was, 12 years old, 11 years old, and this book can be used by any age group, preteen and up, if you will. But, what was your first date like? She can't even imagine me going on a date.
I know.
It's like, you don't go on dates.
No.
You're married to her dad.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Right. So that whole experience and bringing it to life, and then me finding out what her dream guy is really like, what she thinks about at that age, and being able to mold that and using an opportunity. It really is just an avenue to talk to issues where I want to pass down to her what I think a good man is, what I think a godly man should be for her in her life, what to look for in those areas, and then just praying over that. There's opportunities to pray in the book where you spend time praying for each other and what's going on, and that kind of thing. In that world, in the guy world, in the whatever, she's walking through at the time.
Yeah. And one of the things that I think when I hear you say that, like, you get to mold that, like, what her idea of a great guy is. And, you know, for us as moms, whether it's our daughters or our sons, we're always wanting to mold that. Like, we want to get one more thing. And this is what I think. And sometimes it's hard when it's all verbal.
Sure, sure.
But to write it where she would have the benefit, or your daughter would have the benefit to read it in writing when it's not being said, and maybe be able to pause more and think, this is what I need to be doing. Did it do that for you?
Definitely. It's something I'll hold on to. There's a part where you make a list of what makes a godly man, and that is kind of where I started my list to and my journey to purity, because I wanted to make sure that as I was growing older and as I was having more relationships, that, and if they were with guys or if I was dating, that they were going to follow my list. And that was just a piece that helped me out throughout.
Solidify it.
Yeah, it definitely solidified what I believed in, and she helped me out because she put a list, and so it was fun to see back and forth how that worked.
Yeah. We are talking about a treasure of a book, Paper Conversations. When I hear you say, Lauren, that it helped you solidify what you already knew that you wanted, which was purity and to live that godly life. But there's something about writing it down.
Right.
For all of us, when we write something down, it just becomes more real. And I would imagine, Andrea, that you never thought that when you started this out.
Oh, no, this kind of evolved that way. Absolutely, no, yeah.
Yeah, so frustration might be a good thing sometimes.
Absolutely, I think the Lord can lead you that way.
And when you all look at this now, because this is a few years ago that you started this, how does it speak to you now?
Well, it is a treasure for me, like you just said. I mean, it is a treasure to look back and see these pieces of her life throughout, circling the 10 best things that describe you. And I look at them and I see, wow, she really knew who she was. Even at 11 years old, at 12 years old, she was developing a self-awareness there. And I think that's neat. And then being able to go through and read what her dreams are and what some of the list of the things that she wanted to do with her life and how she's starting to do that. At 12 years old, she had written, I want to be an author one day. And this was before even finishing the book, right? And so I want to do communications. I mean, she described those kinds of things, and now her life is following that path. So I think the Lord was working out some things in her, and being able to write it, she can look back and go, hey, God was speaking to me then. And she can trust what he's speaking to her now.
Right.
Because he's faithful all the way through.
He is. And to think that, you know, it just is so encouraging for me to hear your mom say, well, it started with frustration. It started with one word answers. So see, there's hope, everybody. We all, we face challenges in our relationships with our children, with people. And I think when I just hear you say, Andrea, that you took that to prayer first and allowed God to kind of lead you and navigate you. And now look, it's awesome. We've got to take a break. We want you to stay with us. When we come back, we're going to continue to talk more about Paper Conversations in just a moment.
You can purchase a copy of today's show for $15. Call us at 615-754-0039 or send a check to the address on the screen. Please mention the program number on the screen.
The blood of Christ is the only cure. It gets down to the root of every single thing that ails us. There's not an addiction, there's not a generational curse, there's not any root of sin, there's nothing that the blood of Jesus cannot cleanse.
Visit MonicaSchmelter.com to schedule Monica to speak at your event.
If you're just joining us today on Bridges, we're talking about how to strengthen that mother-daughter bond, and just this really unique idea and concept that a mom and a daughter came up with called Paper Conversations. And Andrea, it's just been so good, to talk with you about how this has opened up conversation between you and Lauren and help you build and develop your relationship. What were some of your favorite parts of the journey?
Well, one of my favorite parts of the journey is about friendship and how important it is to, value people and that people matter to God. I mean, that's why Jesus died, right, for us and rose again so that we might live together as free people. And so I wanted her to understand and develop a love for people and putting them first. You know, I as a little girl, I learned that it goes Jesus, others, and then yourself, right? The joy.
Yes,
and I really wanted
yes.
her to understand that and develop just a heart for people. She naturally looks to others, but you know, some kids really do struggle with that. You know, we tend to be a little self-centered as we're growing up, but
even grown-ups sometimes.
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. So I just wanted it to be more of a reminder what a true friend is, and that friends will come and go in your life, and you will learn a lot from that. And it's okay when a friend turns their back on you. You can learn from that, and that you can be, you know, a person who is kind of like a water going off a duck's back and not react and basically just, you know, be a person who gives grace. Only give as much grace as you would want back, I say, which is a lot.
Yes.
So
yes.
we talked a lot about that and how we can just have an openness to open-hearted towards people, big-hearted, you know,
And
in
I
our
think that
relationships.
those are such important lessons, you know, for us to know and to learn, because having a friend turn their back on us at any age can be very painful.
Yes.
But yet, if we have a mom or someone in our life that says, oh, it doesn't have to be like
Right.
that. It can be okay. I could only imagine, Lauren, that was very, and still is very helpful to you in your life.
Definitely. It's definitely a lesson that I learned at 10 and 12 that I have held on to in my life, and it's definitely helped me as I've grown older and as I'm learning more about how relationships work in different environments. It's definitely helped me with that lesson.
And I would think as a mom, to kind of help your daughter be able to like recognize and find and cultivate good friendships.
Well said.
Did that help you as a mom feel more secure and confident in your parenting?
It did.
Yeah.
It helped me understand where she's really coming from and what she's searching for in a friend, because there's some questions in there. What do you look for in a good friendship? If you could take anybody out to lunch and you know, converse with them, who would it be? And you learn a lot from that.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, what person out there are you looking to you know, to know more about? Well, then I know what you're looking for in a friend, and so those kinds of things help me see. And then when I felt like it was solid, I felt like I could ease up and let the reins go a little bit and not be that mom that's always going, well, who's she with right now? What's she doing? You know?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that you don't check in on them. I think that you do.
Yeah.
You know, I'm getting to the stage now where I'm letting go a little bit more. She's about to go off to college, so I'm having to let go a lot more. But in those early days, it's important to just kind of, you know, check back in. But if you know, if there's some uneasy things, if maybe the person they wrote back was Britney Spears, they wanted to go to lunch with her, then maybe you want to do a little more influencing there, you know, or something.
Kind of lets us see where we're at in the relationship and in growth and development. And I think, as you said, you know, as a mom, I don't think, you know, we ever just totally take our hands off, you know, when they're still in high school or whatever. We check in, we do the mom thing. But what you're saying is, I think, you didn't feel like you needed to suffocate her, that you couldn't give her any space, because you were seeing that she was a quality mature for her age, at the age appropriate.
Right.
That had to make you feel good as a daughter.
Definitely, definitely. The just that all started from what she taught me in the book. So I was able to have a little more freedom in that area because she took the time to pass down the values and the importance of friendship and the importance of who's in your friend circle and what their character is.
Was there a favorite part of Paper Conversations for you?
I think my favorite part has to be the drawing pages. So each chapter you get to kind of, it's like a drawing prompt, and so this one says draw your dream outfit and where would you wear it? And I love that. I drew an outfit, a dress. It's kind of like
that.
It's like 12 years old, but I'd wear it for winning an award, because I really wanted to win an award, so I drew that out.
You could win an award in this dress. This is gorgeous.
Now, she's a little bit better of an artist than I am. If you flip the page over, you'll see the stick
the
person.
next one?
On the one before,
other one.
you'll see the stick lady.
Oh, this is the mom.
But I really love just seeing how you're a detailed person, and so she took each piece
Oh, yeah.
of the outfit and laid it out and made sure that you know what each piece is, and it just kind of shows you a little bit about the person's personality when they get that avenue to draw that out.
I said, if you don't mind, you can just pass it on to Dad so he can buy me that outfit.
So it's good paper conversations for gift giving as well in the family. But the whole drawing thing's really neat and fun, and that you kind of get to see your daughter's style, and daughter gets to see what mom likes.
And it's a little more a bit of freedom because it's only between y'all, so it's not like everybody's gonna see it.
Well, now
everybody's gonna see it, but
And I have
back
the
then I
picture
didn't
up.
mind as much. So
Yeah.
Well, you're
Yeah.
a great artist. I'm not so
Thank
much,
you.
but you don't have to be. You know, they get the point.
Yeah, and part of the point, you know, in what I'm hearing is just that you're spending time, you're sharing, you're dreaming, and you're just having fun together.
Right.
And these are things that I wouldn't see necessarily happen just in regular conversation. Because I think, you know, especially like with mom and daughter or just parenting, now don't do this, don't do, go here, make sure that you're on time, but you guys got to have some fun.
Right, yeah, and it spurred on some opportunities for later. Once I kind of saw what she wanted to do and some things that maybe she didn't verbalize to me, that places she wanted to go, if I could make it happen, I tried to make it happen. So.
How about for you, Andrea? Was there a favorite part or section for you?
Yeah, I really like the opportunity to pass on my values, but I do really love getting to know her on a different level. Like, there's a page here that says, what was popular for me when growing up? Like the sayings, the fashion, the TV shows, and all of that, which she's never heard of, right? So I had to do some explaining there. But then hearing from her what is popular in her world. I mean, you know, we hear the phrases the teenagers say. We don't always understand what they mean.
Right.
But so she had to, you know, explain the phrase, and hearing what kind of music she was really attracted to and all of that. Some of that I know, but, you know, they have the headphones in. I'm not hearing every single song that they're listening to. But so just what were her favorites? And so I was excited to know details in that way, that, you know, we don't always, you know, maybe we have an opportunity at the dinner table to start asking questions around the table, but, you know, list, probably not. We're not going to list out your favorite song, your favorite fashion, your favorite heartthrob. I mean, you know, those kinds of things. So,
and, you know, and at the dinner table too, you know, there's usually other people.
Yes.
So this opportunity just for mother-daughter, this one-on-one, that's so important for all of us, and to just be able to share your heart.
Right.
You know, that I can draw this picture of my favorite outfit ever or whatever, and only mom gets to see it, or just my daughter gets to see it. That's really fun.
yeah.
That's
It's great.
really
It's
fun.
just a great opportunity to, this conversation starters, basically.
Yeah.
And they go into other places. And what was done between Lauren and I may be totally different for someone else, because they're just starters. They're just a place to start between a mom and a daughter.
And it's a place to start to learn about your child, or even, as you said, the one mom and her adult daughter who mailed the book back and forth across states to open up that conversation, because, you know, we're all hungering for relationship and to be understood and to be loved. And sometimes in this world, it's just so busy and it's so fast-paced, we don't ever get beyond the, well, you need to do this, make sure you pack your lunch, don't be late for school. We don't get to some of the deeper things where really that heart connection can happen. So paper conversations can help be a way to help make that happen in a relationship. And I don't know, it just blesses me that it was born out of frustration. I guess because that's where so much of it, you know, so much of where we are in life. Things get frustrating, there's conflicts, there's different seasons and transitions. And so this is a way to kind of help walk and talk our way through it. Tell me about other feedback that you've gotten from other moms and daughters. I know we shared about the young adult daughter.
Right. Well, she's had a couple of friends that have shared with us that, I mean, we've gotten to know them through the book, actually, and their mom and their daughter, and how they were able to just, I think they, like, particularly, they were not having difficulty communicating, but they were having difficulty connecting. There's a difference between connecting and communicating.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so that was really refreshing to hear, that I was able to connect with her. I was actually found out that we're more alike than we are different. And so, and that actually happened to us because
Yes.
I even put in the foreword of the book that we're so different. And the truth is, as we finished the book, I found out that there's a lot of similarities here.
Right.
There's a lot of shared interest here. There's a lot of things that we can cultivate and develop, and it can blossom into a different place in our life, a different relationship, a different level of relationship. And that's what I found really unique through some of the other testimonials, that the connection that they made. They were able to share feelings with one another on a different level.
And that changes everything in a relationship, that ability to connect with someone. Because a lot of times it's not that communication's not happening, because it's happening, it's just not great communication. It's a lot of that, and people coming at each other and talking at each other instead of, there's just something about when you can connect and have empathy and understand what a person is thinking and what they're feeling on that level. That's where bonding and real relationships
And that's what
happen.
we wanted. We definitely wanted to bond at a deeper level, or I did as a mom, for sure. I don't think she knew what she was getting into.
Probably not. But that's probably even better when it comes to our children, because who knows? You know, you just kind of start and then it grows from there. So are you surprised by how this all came to be?
Absolutely. I am just blessed as a mom in the sense of that God dropped this in my heart, because if no one else benefits from it, we surely did.
Right.
And so we've grown closer. And just reading back over it, and I told her on the plane on the way here is, maybe we should do it again. Because we'll, learn different things about each other, because I think it can be repeated.
Because I've been sitting here listening to you and I'm thinking, man, when she goes away to college, like that's another whole season of paper conversations, just for all relationships, because we all, we're growing, we're developing, and like, I'm so sorry we're out of time, but it has been so good to have you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We appreciate the opportunity.
It's been good to have you. This is a wonderful book, and I think would be a helpful tool. It's called Paper Conversations. We'll have all of this information up on the website so that you can check it out. We've got to go, but we say goodbye and God bless you.
For more information on a guest, visit our website, ctntv.org.
When I truly turned my heart to the Lord, He took every sin I ever did away from me.
God really is your other half. God, He's the only person who can really, fill those holes and cracks in your heart that you're so wanting someone to fill.
It's no good to have a big dream if you're not putting yourself in motion to go after that.
Log on to www.ctntv.org, where you can make a prayer request, view our program guide, see who's on Bridges, or even watch one of Monica's latest teachings. Log on to www.ctntv.org.
Join the Bridges community on Facebook. Visit Facebook and search for Bridges with Monica. We would love to connect with you.